how to overcome the fear of denial. Well, the fear of denial is one reason why most people are afraid of putting out content. Most people are putting out what all creativity they have, and most people are afraid of exposing their real and authentic self. The problem is that they are afraid of denial from their family, afraid of denial from their friends, afraid of denial from their groups. And this is again, I would like to revisit Abraham Maslow's hierarchy of needs, where the third level of need from the bottom is the need of belongingness. And the need of belongingness is so strong that people always want to belong to somebody, and that's exactly why we run around the circles, we run around groups, and the need is that we want to belong. We want that feeling of belongingness, and only then we feel that we are of worth. We are worthy of relationships. And the moment you feel that, you feel that you feel the desire to show and put out who you truly are, there is a deep underlying fear which surfaces, raises its hood and says that, if you do that, you might lose this group of friends. If you speak this way, if you be a little more forthright, if you be a little more candid, then probably you might risk distancing these people who are very close to you. Of course, that is true, and I thought I would want to share my views on this. Since I've been going candid on most of my videos and sharing what I authentically feel, and which is quite opposite to the popular thoughts, since I've been speaking more on being and being instead of speaking more on doing and doing, which most other experts do, I also had my own phases of thinking that I might risk in distancing people who believe in doing. But I gave it a deeper reflection, and I found that the more I started putting out my authentic content, the more I started getting rave reviews. I started getting messages on my personal WhatsApp wall, and people started appreciating me for being true and authentic and speaking candidly. And I started being appreciated for doing that. And then I started reflecting on, is this confined only to me? Is it only I who can do it? That's absolutely nonsense, because everybody has that authentic self. And if I'm speaking to you, you might have been through moments when you felt that, I shouldn't act anymore. Let me put out. Or you might have wondered, why am I not able to speak the truth? Why am I not able to speak my mind? And why am I not able to be who I actually feel within am? So here's the underlying reason for that. The reason is fear of denial. And if you have often asked yourself subconsciously, how can I overcome this fear of denial? I found there are two ways that I have been exploring to overcome the fear of denial. And before I even take you through these two steps, I would want to share my approach of dealing with such things which I don't want in my life. Well, most of the things that I don't want in my life, I don't try to overcome them. Because the more you try to overcome them, the more you empower them. And since you start thinking more of how to overcome a certain negative trait in you, you start thinking more about it. And thinking is the primary way that you start creating more of it. And very long ago I learned that when you don't want something more of something in your life, the best way is to not to think about it. And There is another way, a creative way, which I started exploring with about a couple of years ago, and I found that it's working magically. And I started exploring with two things, two qualities of me, which I started focusing and building and developing more and more of. And first of them is authenticity, on which I've been posting my videos, making my videos and lectures and seminars and workshops and trainings on. Authenticity. My niche starts with the word authentic self-leadership. And for over a year, I reflected on what should I help and serve this society with. And I found that these three words had the message of everything that I wanted to leave a legacy of. And authenticity stood the test, and authenticity was the first thing that came to my mind, and the last thing probably. So I started experimenting with my own authenticity and being true to my own self. The more I started experimenting and exploring life and myself, my job, my business, my family life, the situations, my friends, my networking groups, the more I started applying authenticity to all these areas, I found that all those who connect with it, all those who sync with it, and all those who resonate with the idea of authenticity start getting drawn towards you. It has this magnetic power. The more authentic you start being, the more authentic you start applying, authenticity you start applying in your life, you start attracting more and more of those people who like the idea and who somewhere secretly play around with the idea of being authentic. And they might secretly also be desiring to be, like you, authentic. So what was the advantage of this? The advantage was that you stop focusing on how others would respond to you. You only focus on how you would respond, or probably how you would make space for others to respond. And authenticity, I found, is that trait which allows more space for your family, for your relations, for your friends, for your circles, for your situations to be what they actually are, and not to be the exaggerated idea of what they are. And the more you play around with this idea, people who talk to you, people who watch you, people who are in your circles, they start getting influenced by this idea of authenticity, and they start being true, at least to you. And by doing this, you start making more and more space for others also to be in your area of authenticity. So gradually your authenticity starts rubbing off, and people start enjoying listening to you, sharing your ideas, and experiencing that yes, this guy is doing something which is true, probably not practical from the worldly point of view, but it's true somewhere. And gradually they start getting influenced with the idea of authenticity. And since you speak about authenticity and you start living authentically, people start being more and more truer to you and authentic towards you. And since they start being more authentic towards you, they do not even entertain the idea of denying you. So you indirectly did not overcome the idea of denial. You made it insignificant. This is exactly what I was speaking a couple of minutes ago. That when I stop, when I don't want something, in my life, or more of something in my life, instead of trying to overcome that, I always use an approach of making it insignificant. And I do that by focusing more on being true to myself and being more of who I am. The second idea of how to overcome the fear of denial, or how to make the fear of denial insignificant in my own perspective, I found the idea of, or I started exploring with this idea of vulnerability. I don't know, I don't remember where I learned this idea from, but the moment I came across this word, it just stuck me. And I started exploring with this idea of vulnerability. Vulnerability about a couple of years ago was a weak word. It signified, it used to show your weaker side. But then non-violence also was a weaker side. But then it won us independence. There are many such, love. Love also is vulnerability. What do you do in love? You show your weaknesses. You show who you truly are. You don't try to act in love. And if you're acting in love, then probably it's not love. The relationship is not yet established. See, as long as you're trying to establish a relationship, you might try to impress the other person. There might be a rush to impress in order to build a bondage. But the moment you are in that relationship and you've reached there, and you know deep down that I've connected and the connection is built, you start being more and more of who you are. But suddenly, when people start expressing their views on what you are doing, or ideas about you, or opinions about you, we were educated to coil back. We were educated to pretend to be someone else, and that's exactly where things went wrong. And we got distracted from being vulnerable. We started inflating ourselves. We started acting confident. We started acting bold. We started acting strong, and that's where the whole drama of acting started. And we started hiding our vulnerabilities. And the moment you hide your vulnerability, unconsciously you transfer this message to the people around you that I am hiding something. And if I'm hiding something, I'm also transferring a message to them unconsciously that I don't trust you, and probably I don't believe that you believe in me. When I unconsciously transfer this essence that I don't trust you, or I don't trust that you trust me, I'm also conveying the idea that probably you shouldn't believe in me because I'm already hiding something. And the more and more I started being open, the more and more I started being vulnerable, I started exposing my weaknesses, I started speaking about who I am and what I am feeling as of now. There are moments when I could have distanced one or two people, but there are also moments when I started attracting people who started appreciating me being me. And if there is somebody who doesn't like your weaker side, I don't think they deserve to be in your life. And if they deserve to be in your life, they would surely come back and they would surely be with you. And vulnerability is that quality which helps you be more and more authentic. And when I started sharing my when I started sharing my personal stories with my closest people, I created more and more of good relationships. I created more and more of trustworthiness. I started exposing my true self, and I indirectly started telling people that you can trust me because I trust you with whatever I'm sharing with you. And that's where I started making the fear of denial insignificant, because it was no more necessary thing in my life, because I'm no more worried about whether somebody would accept me or not. My point was to be true, authentic and vulnerable. And even as I started being more and more vulnerable, I started making more and more space for others to believe in me, for others to trust me, and for others also to be vulnerable and share their personal stories with me. These are the two qualities which helped me overcome the fear of denial by making it insignificant. If you like these ideas, please go on to subscribe to my channel, because I'm sharing lots and lots of videos on authentic self-leadership. And yes, your likes are very significant, very important for me, and your shares to your friends are most important for all of us to build an authentic self-leadership community, ASL community. I hope you like this video. I hope you like the messages and my authenticity and vulnerability. Love you.